Today I'm here with Crystal Bajot. She is phenomenal. I've been following her stuff. I'm so excited about today. My husband actually met her first. And when I was supposed to be at this meeting that they were having and I couldn't make it, I said, Sean, you have got to get her on my podcast because this sort of stuff is so fascinating to me. She's from Afghanistan and she escaped, right?
Yes.
With the help, was it Sean Reyes that helped
Yeah.
you? With the help of Attorney General in Utah, Sean Reyes, during that entire difficult experience. And I wanted her to come here and share her story because it is just the little bits and pieces that I've seen and that my husband was telling me blew my mind. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to ask so many questions, but I first want you to just kind of share what your life was like there and what it was like getting out of there.
Thank you so much for having
Of
me,
course.
and
Thank you for being here.
an honor. Just starting from my childhood, that life was really tough when I was born because it was exactly the same time when Taliban the first time took over in Afghanistan, and my
What
mom
year?
had
Do you
to
mind me asking what year that was?
1997.
Okay.
So
I know I told,
end
but
of
okay.
96 they took over, but yeah, my mom really struggled with the basically delivering me to this world and then escaping from one state to another state just to save their life. But from what I remember was 2001, 2002 when the United States came in Afghanistan, and basically was the time for us to get into school, but had like
Like the
really
girls could finally go to school? Is that what
at
you
that
mean?
time.
Yeah.
No, it was so difficult. I'll tell you the story of how my mom struggled for just to get us in school, because war is so evil. It destroyed the
is.
the mindset, the culture, everything in a country, wherever it happens. It's not
Yeah.
about Afghanistan. And for my mom, I always cherish her courage and support in our life, and like basically dedicated her entire life to become for us to become the person who we are right now. And because she had in Afghanistan, it's like basically you should have a boy, because if you don't have,
You have nothing.
exactly like. And then my mom didn't have, and it was all daughters, and it was so hard for her to put us in a school, get us in a school. But luckily she overcome, and then convinced my paternal family to to let us to go to school. And basically in each step that we want to be in a public life, in our public life, we had to grant a permission. Long story short, it was a big struggle, but with the help of our mom, we got the chance to get an education. But overall, the life was really difficult for the first decade of my life, because it was the time that we had to say bye to war and violence, and then coming to a new phase of democracy, freedom in Afghanistan. And it was very exciting too, because we were just building up, and see the progress, testing everything very new for us. It was so exciting, but honestly, it didn't last for what we expected, and overnight everything changed. So for me, finishing my school, at the same time, it was always like a fight between me and my paternal family to let me to go to like this personal
When you
course.
say paternal family, do you mean like
My uncles,
your
like they
uncles?
always they were always against my mom thoughts, and their life, my mom's lifestyle, and always wanted my mom to stay home, though my mom was a gynecologist, and she was she had her own private clinic. And
Is
the
that
same
pretty
time
rare there?
in Afghanistan it was rare, but like after 2010, 12, that I remember, it became very normal, and every woman was taking part in like coming into public, with whether it was in health sector or like education sector or political, whatever it was, like women was showing up and their themselves and their capability. But that was hard to prove, as a woman, to prove yourself that you're capable enough capable as a man, like this believing in women really made me to stand and and start a fight against all this injustice and inequality was going on with women. I was 12th grade when my entire paternal family came and said that, well, she got enough education, she got everything that she needed now, so I think it's time for her to get married, because my two other sister was in a very it was kind of child marriage in United States under 18. My first sister was 16 years old, and my other sister was I think she was 14 when she got engaged, and it was so difficult for me to accept that. And I was like, no, I'm going to university, I have a dream to get
Yeah.
education. So yeah, it was hard, but I think in during this process, because I've gone through so much hard times, and every time we had to grant permission for every single basic things that here in America people would never even think about that,
When
just
you
for
say like
education.
basic permission, is that to like leave? You can't leave the country, right? Without.
Oh no, it was so difficult that time, because for me, when I went to India, so I studied my undergrad in India. And when I came because so I will tell the story. I graduated from school, and then I went to Kabul University, and in Kabul University I saw that the system, the this kind of
Patriarchy.
patriarchy in the education system in
Yeah.
Afghanistan. Basically, the professors were misusing, sexually abusing women, just to, grade them for the next semester. And
Oh
when I
my
saw that,
gosh.
I just, I stopped, and then I remember my professor didn't take my exam, and he was like, "You're out. I think you have problem with your attendance." And I was like, "No, I attended all my classes." So that was the moment I was like, "Oh, people were telling me about this man, but I didn't know." So
Oh,
I went upstairs, and then he dropped me from school, and I was like, "I'm okay." I cried a lot. I talked with my mom, and I said, "Mom, I trust me. Like, this is the story." And then they trusted me because they came to university, and then I had to stop there, and I shifted to another option, that I had a scholarship, because I scored so high, scored high enough to get a scholarship. So I got this scholarship from Indian government. But when I went home and I was talking with my dad, and he was like, "This is impossible. You're just like 16, 17 years old. How you can go, out of the country?" And it never happened in our community. And I was like, why we shouldn't experience, why we shouldn't start,
yeah.
like, if not me, then who?
Yeah.
And I really hate when I say that, how I like using must. No, it must be me. It
Yeah.
has to be me.
Oh, I
And
love
I was
that.
like, like, okay, I'm going to India. It was hard to convince my dad, but literally that was the last moments that my dad was listening to his family, and then start believing in us. When I went to India, it was an eye-opening time for me to, see the diversity, the life that a woman can deserve, like in a way that me as a woman always like having my scarf and sitting inside of home. That was that's what they taught me for entire
Like
life.
hijab, is that how you say it? Like,
Yeah,
okay,
hijab.
hijab. Yeah.
So yeah, and then when I went to India, it was like, and then the extremist ideology they taught us in Afghanistan. When I went to India, and then it was my mind blow, and I was like, okay, as a woman we are capable of so many things that we never thought that this exists in this
When
universe,
you say extremist ideology, what do you mean? Like, what were you
it's
being taught
like
there?
just, like, as a woman you're unable to do anything, basically, like just going to school, having a job, and all this the stuff. It was pretty much like, my generation first, for the first decade, they struggled with these ideologies, that
Yeah.
no, as a woman we can get a job, as a woman we can be financially independent,
Yeah.
we can build a life that we are dreaming for ourselves, and basically, like, having the right to dream for women was not possible.
Wow.
But when I went to India, and then seeing a life from inside of Afghanistan for women, and then a life for women in India, which, in India has still so much problem going on. But just to compare,
Yeah. Yeah.
Afghanistan with India, And then I decided to come back. So I started a business in India, and I came back in Afghanistan 2019.
Oh
And
man.
I was like, no, my entire life is done. Like, I am working for the women to have their freedom, to have their rights.
That's why
I'll
you went
make sure.
back?
Yeah, when I
Wow.
went, yeah, I had a lot of opportunity abroad to stay and, continue my education for my second master degree in UK, and I refused all, and I went and I said, no, I want to work. I don't think that change happens within a degree or a piece of paper.
Yeah.
I believe, like, yeah, like the grassroots changes happens, like when I decided, I was just like seeing women, especially widow single moms,
Yeah.
that after they lost their husband, they're done with life, they can't do anything. And I was like, no, we have to stop this.
Yeah.
And then I went to Afghanistan and start working with women and girls education, and I strongly believe in power of education. Whatever
Yeah.
happened in my life, whatever change I made, it was because education.
Yeah.
So I really
Did people
strongly
hate
believe.
that when you came back and started fighting for
Well, it
those
was
rights?
it was a big struggle. Yeah, when I came back Afghanistan, basically because my last name is an adopted last name. Like I'm a it's minority in ethnicities, and also at the same time ethnic minority. We're ethnic minority and also religious minority.
Oh.
So
How so? What religious minority were you?
Shia.
Oh.
So in Afghanistan, the majority is Sunni. So I was Shia,
Oh.
and then it was a big struggle for me to even get into the government offices, or
Yeah.
doing my own business. It was so difficult, and I launched a campaign, and I was like, I will break this taboo that people always think that, oh, you're a minority, or you can't, you have the vote, you have to get like people support. And that was the time actually I was realizing, no, everyone who lives in Afghanistan should have the same and equal right, no matter
Yeah.
what gender you're carrying or what ethnicity you are in. You have to have the same
Yeah.
right. So no privilege to
Totally.
majority.
I have to ask this because I know there's so much more we haven't even gone over. But when you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but when you come here and you see women in the United States complaining about how hard they have it, do you just want to throw up? Because whenever I hear this from these women, I'm just like, have you ever been to
To
another
my
country?
country to
Have you
see.
ever watched a documentary on the Middle East and how women are treated? Like, okay,
Yeah.
like it just bugs me so bad because we have it
I
so good
think
here.
they don't, like, this is what I say. I think they should start practicing gratitude because
Yes,
they
exactly.
they always like complaining, but they don't know that what privilege they have in this life.
Oh my
How
goodness.
much blessing they have around themselves.
That's the
From
answer. Practice
like,
gratitude.
yeah, the life I've gone through is like, I'm pretty sure that most of the time when I'm telling my friends, they can't even picturize it. Like, it's so difficult from where I came, and I didn't have access to education. I didn't know, like, I didn't have access to computer until I was ninth grade. Like,
Wow.
basically everything was so restricted for us. So all these basic rights were so restricted, and what I wanted, what I dreamed for Afghanistan, that basic human rights and basic rights should be accessible to everyone, which was not, because I came from a minority ethnic, so I
Is there a
had
lot of
to.
discrimination there?
A lot,
Yeah.
yeah. And then they didn't have their political rights. We didn't have a political representative. We didn't have equal social rights. Like, basically, in education system, when I went to university, I had to, like, I had not the same privilege that other people had. So, and that was because and it's never in our hand to, like, we are born to different families, different, like, we're
Right. You
carrying
didn't
different
choose.
skin. Yeah, we never
So
choose.
you're
We
like
never
bottom of
had.
the list because you were female, you were ethnic and religious minority. So you were like at the
Yeah,
very
at the
bottom.
very
Wow.
bottom. But yeah, I mean, that campaign helped me really to bring awareness and finally pass a bill for minorities' rights and their political and social recognition.
That's so huge.
And
That's amazing you did that.
and that's what I start believing in power, in the power of, like, having a voice, and moving
Yeah.
forward. Because when I started, everyone was laughing. What are you doing? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure what I want to achieve.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I know what I want to achieve.
Yeah.
So the moment I clarify my goals, my purpose, that's where I think change happens.
Yeah.
And for me,
So
it was like
exciting.
after that, I was like, no, if this happened, because this was a huge thing in Afghanistan. It was not normal. It
Yeah.
was not acceptable by the
Yeah.
community at all. When I started, people used to talk about me that I'm a racist. I'm not a racist, but you never walk through my shoes to see that how it feels being
Yeah.
from minorities,
Right.
But after that, I moved to women and girls, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, now it's the time to support women, and I believe it will happen. And to be honest, I can't ignore. People think that American presence in Afghanistan was a waste. It wasn't a waste. It built the entire generation. It educated,
So
like
I want to
it gave
say that
us.
again. You're saying Americans being there actually really helped.
Oh, so much. And I don't like that when they say that it was a waste in Afghanistan.
Okay.
It was not a waste. It changed the entire society, and also it actually gave the opportunity for women to find themselves, who they are, their identity. And this is a huge change. That $80 billion that people are always talking about, it's nothing compared to what happened in Afghanistan. But after that, I mean, the mistake they made that they withdraw from Afghanistan. Yeah, that's what I say. That was a waste.
Okay, so that's what I want to hear. Okay, so now you've been doing all this work to get women's and girls' rights, and things are starting to really kind of go well in that direction, right? And then you were there during the exit, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
so
was in Afghanistan. I
just
was
like all we
actually
get
in
is
my
the
office.
news. So I want to hear like from someone who was actually there, because I've seen the things that you've posted and you've said it's an absolute disaster. Tell me from your perspective why you say that and what happened from what you saw.
So I was in my office, and of course, I was so worried because what happened to me, and I was involved in peace talks and stuff, and really like the
Did that make
promise
you a
that.
target? Sorry, I don't mean to keep.
Yeah,
Okay.
into 2020, like I was target by Taliban, and basically 2 weeks before that, I lost my good friend. She was assassinated in front of her house after she left the job, and she was with her brother, and they both killed in this, I think because she was involved in peace talk, that was a big reason. But then she was an activist, being an activist becoming a crime in Afghanistan, recently that the Taliban and the US peace talk. But my guts were like, oh no, United States cannot, or international community cannot leave us. Like they invested 20 years. How it comes like billions of dollars, this progress that they seen as,
Do you
and
feel protection when they're there too?
no, there was no protection at
No, I mean
all.
like when the
When the
US
US,
was
oh
there.
yeah, for sure. That was my big,
Yeah.
I had faith in Americans that no, they cannot leave us, and it's okay. We see like we saw that there was big threats from Taliban every time, the bullets, the bomb explosion, but still our faith kept us alive to stay in Afghanistan. And when I say that it was a disaster, the reason I say because for 20 years there was a tremendous change in Afghanistan. The entire society changed. It took for American women like almost a century to have the right to vote, right?
Yeah.
And then the progress we built was 20 years. And then right now what we see from this politician that, oh, actually they didn't change, the democracy didn't work in Afghanistan. It worked very well. I mean, 20 years, we built a lot of things that it's not possible to achieve that. Basically in army, like military wise, we had our own military, and we said that no, thank you. Keep your Americans out. We don't want them to be killed in Afghanistan, but we can protect. Just support our mission.
Yeah.
But whatever happened, political side, I don't want to touch
Sure,
that.
sure.
But really,
We
like
all
they
know,
felt,
but
felt to do it in appropriate way. But the reason I stood up against the Taliban was the sacrifice that were made for 20 years, not only from Afghan, but the entire world, that the countries, the NATO that came, and those young Americans and Western armies that came and sacrificed their lives just to protect this country, and they neglected all this sacrifice. And then seeing women, and then the Taliban, just the first day they entered, I was in the office and I was like, is this true? Because my bank account, my business, everything is in this country. And I was not worried about any of these things, just like to make sure that the Taliban accept women's and the changes that happened over 20 years. And then the moment they talked, everyone was just like, the women were just marching towards their houses. And I was like, this, I don't want this in my country. I want the women to come and show themselves that who they are. And, basically defining their identity to the Taliban and make sure that the Taliban should change. We're not the one to change according to Taliban.
Right,
they should change.
Yeah.
Because we give enough sacrifice, we suffered enough, so we don't want to suffer anymore. But unfortunately, my thoughts were very, I think, because this is what I learned over 20 years, but what was with Taliban, it was totally changed, totally different.
Did it change overnight when the Taliban took over?
Yeah, trust me. Like when the Taliban entered, the first thing they were just, deleting women's picture from any poster in public. And that was so painful for me because I was in front of my window and I was watching that what they're doing, mom. And then my mom had already experience of these things. And what I knew from the Taliban was watching movies and, like reading books. That's it. I never experienced life with Taliban.
This is your first
my first time that seeing Taliban. And it was so painful for me. And then the very first day, they said, no girls, no school, no jobs, wait for the next order. And my mom said, this is exactly what they did in the first time. And it happened. And it's still, schools are closed, universities are closed.
Today, still?
Yeah, it's 3
So the
years.
second the Taliban took over, no girls in school, no girls at work.
No, nothing. Girls are unable to go to school. Women are unable to work.
All the rights taken away.
Yeah, it's like being back imprisoned inside of their homes, and they can't even go outside without a male chaperone. They have to have a man along with them to do something, to leave. Imagine women that they lost their husband for during war in Afghanistan. What's gonna happen with them, or any of them that they don't have?
What does happen with them?
Like they're suffering, they're starving, they're selling their daughters to this old Taliban soldier just to feed other family members. It's heartbreaking with what happened. But I'm telling this story of like, and then when I saw these things, and I'm like, no, I have to stop them. I don't want these things happen with the women of my country, with the girls of my country. So I knew that my dad would stop me, but I didn't say anyone in my family. I just made some few calls with my friends, and they were like, Crystal, you're crazy. The entire country is running to the airport to save their life, and you're coming and talking about protest. And I say, listen, I believe that this is going to start a change. I believe that it will pave the way for a brighter future. No matter how long, but let's start, let's tell the world that you left us, but we're still here and we're still fighting for ourselves. So it was a hard moment, a hard decision, but for me, everything, because my entire life is all about like freedom, fighting for freedom, fighting for
when you don't have
rights,
it, you really appreciate it, right?
Like, yeah.
So did you start a
people
protest?
Here? Yeah, I just said, oh, I hope that a woman come out, and then I can go and join that woman. And then for a moment, I was just like, why not me? Like, why am I expecting others? I mean, I know that what is the risk, but why I'm not taking this risk and going outside? And then my entire life, my mom is like, freedom has a cost. Freedom has a cost. And that was the time I realized, okay, now I'm paying the cost. It's okay, even if they take my life, but I'm making sure that at least they're gonna kill one Crystal, and then the entire world will know that who the Taliban are.
So did you use social media to kind of publicize, or like?
Yes. So when I called my friends, they didn't agree to join me, but
I don't blame them. They're probably terrified.
Because it was the situation was horrible, and then I turned live on Facebook and Instagram, and I was asking people, I'm going to this place if you want to join me.
Seriously?
And I didn't know, people blame the men from Afghanistan. Trust me, they were so supportive.
Really?
Once they understand the value of democracy, freedom in Afghanistan.
Wow.
So no women showed up.
It was just you?
It was just me. And then I got to know that because in the entire media, like New York Times, everyone was coming and covering this protest. And I was like in the middle of this hell, like we used to celebrate our Independence Day, and it was only my phone. And I just thought, like, the social media is our power. That's I can
Yeah.
show the world that what's happening. So I really want, because they put down our national flag, and for me that flag is just like automatically I flash back to those, the big sacrificed for 20 years. Like,
Yeah.
okay, how about those lives? How about like the people that we lost, and then the freedom that we're losing right now.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I will stop this. I wrapped myself with the flag, and I went to this, they call it Tapir Wazir Akbar Khan. It's one of, like, here I could say maybe pretty similar to Provo.
Okay.
But I went there, and then I asked people to join me and celebrate our Independence Day, regardless of Taliban took over. We don't care. They're
Because
most
Taliban took
welcome.
down your
Yeah.
national flag and put Taliban
Yeah,
flags.
and
Okay.
I wanted to jump and take their flag down and put my flag. It's okay if I die, like
Oh,
if
you
they
are
kill me
so
in the
brave.
middle.
Holy cow.
But I want to make sure that I protect my national interest, national values. For me, that flag was not only just that tricolor, like I could say, it was not about that piece of
Material.
material.
Yeah.
For me, it was more than what I see. Even people here have that definition of flag. For me,
Yeah.
it was the life of those armies, the Americans, the Afghans, the most of the people that died under that flag to just protect that flag. There was so much things behind that. I should, like, I should encourage myself to go and do it. And then I just looked at my back, and I saw that there were hundreds of men standing behind me, and it was unbelievable.
Led by
I
a
just said,
woman.
yeah, led by women. And then I said, this is the change. Like, the world is blind to see. This is a huge change. No women stood behind a woman in Afghanistan, but today they are standing. They're supporting. If you're on the right path. And then I was like, everyone was basically like, it was men who got injured. It was like most of my colleagues, yeah, that they joined me. They got injured because the Taliban was just shooting, and I just jumped off of the wall, like to put the flag, and then
Wait,
suddenly
they started shooting at the protest?
the protest, yeah. Yeah, it was horrible. I mean, because it was so violent violent, so the New York Times didn't even cover
So you're watching
part of
people just
it.
go to the ground like getting shot.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
sorry, go on. My mind is
So
so blown. Like, how do people complain here? We have it so
oh,
easy.
yeah, yeah.
We have it
But
so
I'm
easy
telling,
here.
they need to protect it
Oh my goodness.
because we know how it looks like, how it feels like, losing your freedom, your life, your entire country overnight. And it can happen.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So you went and got on top of something and
Yeah, to take the flag of Taliban down and put our flag.
while they were shooting.
Yeah. And then it
Who
was
are you?
it was hard because the situation, I thought, like, to protect my country's name and the history and the women's, because they always think that, oh, women are incapable, and I wanted to show that women even can come on the front line and protect the entire country. And really, like, what blew my mind that time, that gave me more courage and energy, was the men standing behind me. That was really, really, for me, it was a big motivation that I had to jump off of the wall and then take the flag down and put my own flag. But
So good men
so
matter. Good men matter.
oh yeah, sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate that some good men to support you and their power.
Yes.
You sometimes feel, no matter how many women are supporting you, but when you have one man or two men that they
Yes.
really care about you and support you, it really matters.
We need each other.
Yeah.
We need each other. That is so
Yeah.
amazing. Oh, I have chills. I just can't even. Okay, so when you ended up, did you end up taking the flag down?
Yes, unfortunately, I couldn't put our flag, but I was able to put the Taliban flag down, and then they got like crazy, and then the bullets were just all around my head, and I was just like, okay, I can't take the responsibility of any lives that they are coming to support me. And then I was peacefully just talking with them, and I was like, we need our flag, you need to change, you need to accept us, we give enough sacrifice. And to be honest, like the thing was like, you guys are all atheists. You guys are all infidels. You're not Muslim. And because of my name also, they asked me my name,
Crystal, yeah.
Crystal,
Because
Christian
it's
name.
not a very Muslim name.
Yeah, it's a very Christian name. But anyway, like, and then I said, no, we're gonna not stop here. We just march on the street. I saw the thing that when people saw me, that I was on the front line and chanting that our flag is our identity and we will die, but we will protect this flag. This was the slogan that we were just chanting on the street. I saw the men coming out of their car and parking their car and joining us. The women, we basically got like thousands of people behind us just chanting. This was so incredible for me, painful, but also like, I thought that that was worth, like the thing that and then the next day everyone was like, hey girl, let's go and protest. Let the Taliban know that they have to make sure that we have all our rights protected, everything protected. One thing I would say that it could have changed the Taliban and the entire destiny of Afghanistan if the world protect us that time and, consider our movement and, value that, but they didn't. They just ignored everything. And then I saw that the Taliban became more violent because they saw that, okay, now there is no support or any
Everyone
kind
left.
of like, yeah. And then for me, it was difficult because when I came and every media was talking about me, and then Taliban were reposting with basically putting, like a kind of prize on my death that anyone who can find this girl. And I was like, man, I
So
have
they
to
were putting
like,
a prize on your head. They were trying to find you.
yeah, to find
Where were you
me.
hiding? Can you say?
The first night I stayed in my house, and then my brother came and said, like, everyone is talking about you outside. We need to get out of the home. So I went to my grandmother's home, and then everyone was basically not accepting me to be with me. And then I kept making call with my friends, and I was like, because right away after the Taliban took over, they call it NRF, National Front Resistance emerged. So everyone was joining. And I called them and I said, I want to join. I want to fight for this country, for this people. And they said, sorry, we can't accept women because we have only just a group of few men. And I was like, what do I need to do? So basically had to like, and then seeing that how international community and basically United States with the entire things that they did in Afghanistan were neglecting people, I had to make a decision whether to stay in Afghanistan and deal with Taliban that wasn't worth, because
They're gonna
basically
kill
for
you.
them just a bullet, that's it.
Yeah.
And then or decide to get out for a while and then do something that is really constructive for the future of Afghanistan. So it was a hard decision, and no one was accepting us in the front resistance. So I made this decision to be out.
And how did you get out? Because like these images keep going through my mind of, which was all over the news of, I mean, the American plane leaving and all those people trying to jump on the plane and they're falling off. Is that exaggerated at all, or did that really happen?
No, it was worse than what you saw on the picture. Very hard to describe because I'm just like getting so emotional in that moment. But it was horrible to see that your entire country is ruining in front of your eyes, and then everyone is just like trying to save their life. They didn't care about their property, the life they made for their entire life, and just like to save their life. Very heartbreaking. And honestly, what was happening in the airport was horrible. To just see that some were enough lucky to save their life and get into plane. Some were died in the middle, they were shot because the Taliban and the ISIS, everyone was basically like just shooting at the people. And then the explosion happened on August 26th.
Where the 12 soldiers
the 12
died.
soldiers died. Yeah, it was awful, but yeah, it was hard for me. I think I went to airport and then I saw that crowd, and then
So
how
you saw
just
that
like
crowd.
Oh yeah, I came
Did you
in those
watch them
days.
trying to get on the plane?
Oh, I was one of them to get into the plane.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was one of them to get into the plane. So when I received this text says that you're in danger, you have to, we are here to help you. And I couldn't believe anyone. I didn't know that whether it's the right person or no. And then suddenly my friend from California and also Sean Reyes, Attorney General from here,
Wait, how
reached
did
out to
Sean
me.
Reyes hear about it? He just saw you on the
I think,
news?
yeah, because of I asked him this question and he saw me on a New York Times interview. And
I like Sean Reyes. That's cool.
yeah, he's amazing. And
Yeah.
he didn't only help me, but he helped a lot of women with the that we brought recently from Afghanistan. So
So
yeah, it was
so
hard.
how you're getting a text on your phone saying, "Hey, we're here to help you," but you're like, "Is this the Taliban or is this because they're trying to find
Yeah,
you?"
they introduced, and then I Googled, and for me, it was so difficult to understand that how it comes. And then I had to make a decision. I didn't have any choice. I had to like make my mind and start believing them that, okay, it's okay. And I didn't know where I will end up, where I'm going, with whom I'm going. It
You
was
don't
a
have your
hard.
parents, your family, or
No
no
one.
one.
Yeah, no.
Wow.
I had only my sister with me. It was so difficult to make that decision, but because of just to save our life, we had to like get and through those military plane to Qatar, spending nights and days without food and water, and then they transferred us to a military camp to Bahrain, and then finally we got some food to eat, and then from there they got us to Virginia, and from Virginia is the same thing. I thought like when we arrived to America, like we will get something as like shelter and
Yeah.
stuff. We were on the camp for hours and hours, and then they transferred us without like finding food or anything. They transferred us to Wisconsin. It was so difficult, very difficult. And then it was snowing. It was so difficult.
Which is so new
It's
to you.
September. September was very like
Wisconsin's
Wisconsin
cold.
was so cold. We didn't have. We had to like spend nights and days under a tent that we didn't have any privacy. From any
Yeah.
family. Like 100 people living in one tent. Just for I think I stayed like 5 days, and then I called Sean and I said, I can't leave. It's okay if they deport me back to Afghanistan, but I want to get out
Oh,
of
it
this
was that
place.
bad. You're
Yeah,
like, I'll
it
take
was
my chances with the
really
Taliban.
because we came with a piece of clothes. We didn't have
Yeah.
anything. We didn't have blankets, and it was hard for them to, manage and provide. And I think it was a big fail, in administration too, that they couldn't even do anything well, not only in Afghanistan, but with wave of the refugee that they came here. But yeah, I mean, Sean just sent his guy and got us into plane and came to Utah and didn't know where Utah is, how it,
Yeah.
you know. But the moment I got to Utah, I was like, this looks like Kabul, like
Yeah, the
from the plane, the
mountains.
mountain. And then I ended up directly to Park City, a beautiful place, and
Like the
St.
nicest part of
Regis,
Utah.
yeah, the best hotel. And then, but yeah, it was the moment I came to, I think I was enough fortunate to end up in Utah. The people are
Yes.
so welcoming, so loving, like
That's what I was
I
going to ask you.
really,
Like, because that's
no,
such a
really
change.
really like it made I think it is the way for me in some way. Like I'm talking with my friends and they had really hard time, but of course being a refugee, it's so difficult
Totally.
to start your life from scratch, and you
Yeah.
have to, whether it's on education, like in any
Yeah.
spheres, like
Every
you have
way.
to yeah, you have to
How did you
start
get
from
like
scratch.
clothes and stuff and somewhere to stay?
Yeah, it's through Sean's friend.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
it
have
was
to ask. Oh, sorry. Go on. Go on.
yeah, I have to, like, I owe him so much in my life. The
Oh,
things that he helped me to overcome quickly and easy, like my friends suffer until now,
wow.
until today. But yeah, I think Utah give me so much, and like I'm indebted forever for their kindness and
There's good people
for
here, huh?
yeah, for their warm
I have to ask, so
welcoming.
like if you're coming, I mean, God, the story. There, I have so many questions. I don't know where to start. My mind is so blown. But like if you're coming from there as a Muslim, and I know we talked a bit before, you're figuring your things out with everything in life, and you're obviously not wearing a hijab, which I know has been a very controversial thing. which I want to ask that next. But how has it been going from there to Utah, which is predominantly Christian, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? How has that been?
Honestly, I think for me it's always pleasant, and it's very exciting and interesting to love and learn about other people's
Yeah.
faith and you believe. And one of the best people, and I love them. And the belief is so unique. And I think I always say is that it's not, people think that, Islam, every religion is beautiful, as far as if we don't misinterpret it.
Sure. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of misinterpretation about
Totally.
a religion. When I walk out of Utah, definitely I hear a lot about
Oh,
from
yeah.
people, but I'm like, have you ever been, like, are you like basically going in person and talking with these people? Because for me it was through this kind beautiful people of Utah and Mormon, obviously they're very welcoming. That's one of the things.
So
And
proud of you.
second thing, they're very kind, very generous, giving, supportive, emotionally and in any way, like and then I start learning about them, and I'm like, this is the coolest people that I ever met, because I travel a lot to different countries. I really love Utah. Religion apart, people, and then the nature in here. There's so many things,
So
so
good.
many reasons to love Utah and live here.
I
So
agree. Do you still keep in contact with your mom? Is she still in
yeah,
Afghanistan?
no, we got her.
You got her over here?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, I'm so
not
glad.
in Utah, in Florida.
Hey, it's the United States, right?
Yeah,
Florida's
yeah,
awesome too.
yeah. She is in the United States just 2 months ago.
It seems like the Taliban still has like a hit out for you because you're now in the United States, but you're now able to protest without the threat of your life, and
Right.
you do this all through social media, and you've kind of garnered this big following. And from what I understand, they're still kind of trying to like do what
Oh,
they can.
sure. Every time, yeah. I mean, when my mom was in Afghanistan, honestly, they went in our house and they actually beat up my mom, and she got like 7 stitches on her forehead. Very hard time. They imprisoned my dad, and then I had to like make a commitment with them that I'm not associated with them anymore. I don't have relation. We are done. We are separated until I got my parents released from them, and then moved them to Pakistan. It was a hard time. I mean, they pressed any button that could, hurt me.
Right.
Apart from like losing my friend that they died before the U.S. withdrew, but yeah, there's a lot going on between me and the Taliban. So, and then you see that what they are doing is not just, and I could feel the pain every day. I hear the stories from women that forcefully being raped, or
So is that
it's
really happening
forcing.
every day? Like the women are just being raped
Oh,
by the Taliban?
yeah, a lot, a lot. I mean, the young girls and boys are very, very at risk, like
So sad.
the story that in the videos, sometimes I don't post a lot because for Western it's too much to process
Sure, sure.
it. But and most of time Meta restrict me for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because the things I'm posting. But yeah, a lot going right now. So basically, I just moved to another phase, where I can help and support people until things get changed a little bit, because with the Taliban, um, for women and girls, it's hell for them. They can't go outside, they can't travel, they can't get education, nothing, basically, just being as an prisoner inside of that country.
And so, how are their husbands? Like the average husband, if he's not part of Taliban, does he? I mean, does he just have power over his wife, or did they?
Honestly, when United States came, I think it was more social norms. It got changed,
Yeah.
but then when Taliban came, they create the atmosphere for men to become that person, and I think yeah, now it's getting back to that phase. But
So sad.
honestly, I could say like everywhere that men in Afghanistan changed a lot, but we didn't give that time. We didn't stay, we didn't work. It's just like very, very short and temporary. like just 20 years. I know it's in some way it's long, but for a
Someone's
change
not.
in a country it's short.
Yeah.
But it changed a lot. And then right now also definitely, because I think one of the reason that I see that it's more violence are increasing in Afghanistan, because they take the right of like women to be financially independent. They're not working, so basically they feel themselves as a burden on men. And then men think that they're also real burden to them. So that's how I think it increased the violence and child marriage. Basically the economic crisis right now. Most of the moms are selling their kidneys, part of their body organs, like to just feed their kids, because they don't have the power to feed them, the income, the money, basically.
So what are you doing now here in the United States?
So right now, when I came here, I realized that there is still people want to support, apart from what people think in Afghanistan and how the world shows America. Still, there are great Americans that they feel they know that they share. I think they honor still the lives that they sacrificed in Afghanistan, and there is still an appetite for them to support. And I think it's because, and I feel more in Utah, to be honest, rather than any other state. When I go other states, they just talk about different countries that are going through a lot of
Yeah,
crisis.
Israel and
It's
Ukraine. Yeah.
Ukraine. But I created this nonprofit. Earlier, it was Crystal Bajot Foundation, but right now we rebranded to Hope for Her International, where we create opportunity for women to have fully access to education, school and employment. We are working indoor micro businesses for them, because we can't right now change the Taliban, but we don't want people to starve, women, and why women should be, for in the history of Afghanistan, it's always women to pay the prices. So I'm so passionate to create this platform for women to be financially independent, and because it's my experience that the moment of women financially become independent, they are decision makers. They are no more under oppression and violence. So and then also definitely we are because what I started in Afghanistan was basically the women's movement against the Taliban, and women who are being imprisoned through their advocacy and activism in the Taliban's prison. So we work to, once they get released, we relocate them to a safe zone.
Wow.
We recently brought some women from Afghanistan to United States, and they're here. One of them are working at the governor office, another them are working in different sectors, but
Do they
overall,
just tell you how amazing it is to be here
oh,
and how women should stop complaining about?
really, yeah, really. Like, when I talk about them, we always discuss for sure, especially this group of 5 that we are doing a lot of activism work, for Afghanistan and advocacy work. That I hope one day these people should realize that how blessed they are and how much,
Seriously.
the privilege that they have
Yes,
to
we're
be,
so
like
blessed.
it's so much. And I feel with some people that they keep complaining, and I'm like, do you know how life it looks like, and how life feels like to be in front of those bullets, and I'm not saying that they should be, but the gratitude, like you have to
Seriously.
always feel that, okay, and of course I always tell them that there is a need to stand and protect this freedom, this
Yes.
opportunities around, it's not granted forever. But
We're
we
one
shouldn't
generation
complain,
away.
we shouldn't complain here.
Yes.
There is so much, it's for me, because I was born and raised in Afghanistan. We always had this, and we were hearing from a lot of people that America is the land of opportunity, and it is. Imagine me being as a refugee that I have to start from scratch, and now being able to help 26,000 students back in Afghanistan. It is
And you've
because
only been here a couple of years.
it's just 2 years, yeah, 2.5.
2.5
So,
years.
but that's how I say that, you never been to that situation that where you can really understand what freedom means, and with the life you have here, you know.
So beautiful. And what can we or anyone watching, what can we do to support that?
Thank you so much. And I think
You're
it's the
welcome.
same thing. I always says that imagine those girls and those women as your sister, as your mother, as your daughter. What would you do? What step would you do? The same, like we create this platform, Hub for Her International. Anyone who want to be part of this change and supporting those women, go on our website, hubforherinternational.org. See that where your mission align with, you know. We have economic phase that support women, evacuation, saving a life, the life of a woman is very, for me, it's one of our pilot project to support and save those women. And because we can't convince the Taliban, if we couldn't convince over years and years talking with them, I don't think that right now at this moment, until, you know, I don't want to lose those women because they're the future of that country. They're the
Yes.
jewel of that country. So I really want to protect, and we have barely those women in that country, you know, I want to protect them. So
Do we find you? Is there, what's the website?
hubforherinternational.org.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can they go there and like donate and
Yeah, donate, being volunteer, being a sponsor for these families that they need help, and it doesn't cost you so much. You know, it might cost you like few $1,000s,
yeah.
but you're saving basically the life of a family.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that. Oh man, if we had like 3 more hours, I have so many
Thank you so much
questions,
for
but
having me
thank you so
and
much. You're
supporting
amazing.
Voices from Afghanistan. I appreciate it. Thank you.